So with the brand new update, Tycoon just added in 4 new airstrikes, and the big question that a lot of you are probably going to be asking yourself is, are these airstrikes actually viable in this meta? Well, we're going to be taking a look at this in today's video, so anyway, let's just jump right into it. So firstly, starting with the Spitfire strafing run, we're going to be firstly testing its damage against shields, which is going to be extremely important, to be honest, and unfortunately, I'm not able to properly airstrike my own base, so I'm gonna have to get the airstrike in a perfect angle so I can go ahead and actually be able to do this. So right here, I guess I'm gonna try to airstrike the side of this building, and let's see how much health my shield is going to be losing. And it has lost around 17%, so that's not too bad. It's not the most insane amount, but it's not too bad either. Keep in mind that this thing literally takes only 30 seconds to recharge after you already use it, so it's definitely pretty decent numbers. Now the next thing which I'd like to test it against is going to be the Abrams X, which is basically going to be one of the strongest tanks in the game. It has a very good foundation of health, so I'd like to see how much damage the Spitfire strafing run is actually going to be able to do. So right here, let me drive out the Abrams X and also spawn in the Spitfire airstrike. I feel I have to get a little further away from my base so this time it doesn't end up hitting any rocks or anything. So right here, and let's go ahead and take a look at how much damage it's going to be able to do. So unfortunately, the radius or the AoE of the airstrike won't be too high. However, the damage in general is actually pretty damn good, and it will be able to get the Abrams X down to 7%. However, always keep in mind that you can just strafe out of the airstrike and you'll be completely fine. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look at the damage of the Spitfire strafing run against the USS Zumwalt, because the ships are pretty often actually going to be airstriked. It's something that has been done in the game quite a bit, and it will be able to do roughly around 25%, so there is a reason why this is a starter airstrike. Don't expect it to be too good, to be fair. Now the next airstrike which we're going to be testing is going to be the F-18 missile run, which takes 40 seconds to recharge, and it costs exactly $50,000. So in fact, I'm gonna change the location which I airstrike, because right here I can airstrike the top of my base, so I can get a more accurate representation of the damage. Currently I am sitting at 90% of health, 91% now, so let's see how much I'm actually gonna be able to lose. I lost only 10%, so the F-18 is definitely not gonna be designed for destroying shields, which I hope was made pretty damn obvious. Alright, now let's take a look at the damage of the F-18 missile run against the Abrams X, since this is gonna be a very interesting one, as it's supposed to be good against tanks. It's using missiles, and from what it looks like, it was able to leave me roughly at around 33%, which is definitely decent. Once again, nothing like broken insane, however, it's not too bad, to be honest with you. Alright, now let's go ahead and take a look how much it's going to be able to do against the Zumwalt. Once again, I expect this to be better than what the Spitfire run was, and let's go ahead and take a look. And I took around 33% of damage, and I was left at, I'm not even gonna say this number. Now it is time for the F4 to actually shine. It's going to be having a cooldown of 60, and it's going to be costing you $250. I'm going to be striking the top of the base, so let's see how much these bombs can actually do against the base shield. And they're gonna be able to do around, not bad, it's 16%, but once again, napalm isn't designated to be attacking shields in this game, so it makes sense why the damage isn't so insanely high. Let's take a look at its damage against tanks though. Now this is definitely gonna be F4's time to shine, because in terms of its tank combat capabilities, oh man, this thing will be able to do some insane damage, because once you hit the player with the bombs, it's not gonna be too much. However, once these bombs start to actually add DPS, you'll easily be able to destroy the tank. However, keep in mind that the napalm strikes are more likely going to be super consistent against infantry rather than the tanks, but it's still insanely good against the tanks. Let's also take a look at its damage against the Zumwalt, which is definitely going to be interesting. Alright, F4 Phantoms, it's definitely your time to shine. Let's go ahead and attack the Zumwalt. I really hope that this is going to be really good, because this is a much more powerful airstrike now that we're heading into. Okay, so direct hit isn't too much. However, the napalm is not extremely consistent at damaging ships. Yeah, if you drop this in the water, it's gonna be very buggy, so I definitely do not recommend you guys to be using napalm against ships. it's for sure not gonna be a good idea. And now lastly, we have the A10, and I do have some very high expectations for it. However, I do not expect it to be like insane against shields. I think it's really gonna be amazing against tanks and boats, but we're gonna take a look into that in just a second. But the overall damage that it does against shields is actually pretty good. It will be able to destroy a standard shield, and it got the 2x shield to around 39%, so that is definitely extremely good performance overall. I mean, it makes sense, this is a tier 3 operation. However, against tanks, oh, things are gonna get insane. Alrighty, this better be good. You better do not disappoint me, A10 Airstrike. Come on, you can do it. So 2 A10s come in, shoot me with the cannon, hit me with the bombs. Oh my god. The first run on its own literally killed me. I didn't even have to be in the second run to die. So if you guys do not strafe out of this thing fast enough, you're gonna be dead so freaking fast. Like, god, this thing's OP. Alright, A10 Airstrike, it is really your time to shine. What will you be able to do the USS Zumwalt? Of course, keep in mind that the Zumwalt is standing still right here. However, it did around, I can't even count now. It almost killed the Zumwalt, so it only left it at 18%. That is insane, dude, because on average, most of the Zumwalts are probably gonna be at least battle hurt from some previous fights which they had with other vehicles. So this is an insane finisher. As long as you get the Zumwalt pretty low, you're probably gonna be able to destroy it with this airstrike, or perhaps use their position whenever they're healing at the gas station. You could really just airstrike them and they will literally be dead. So in general, I will have to say that these airstrikes are the Spitfire and the F-18 are pretty mid, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, but the F4 Phantom and the A10 Warthog, those things truly pack a punch, so I definitely recommend you guys to be getting these two. The other two you could probably pass out on.